Hello, epic viewers from around the multiverse. Prepare to indulge in experiencing sheer bliss, because today another riveting, captivating, stellar unboxing video is about to be brought to fruition. What items will I be unboxing? What items will I be opening? Without further delay, without further procrastination, allow me to elicit the box. What items are encompassed inside this bulky, hefty, tangible, nifty box? Let's find out. I'm going to demystify the answer to that inquiry right here, right now, so bear with me. It'll only take me billions of picoseconds to extract the items from the box and subsequently flaunt them in front of the camera for you to feast your glorious eyes on. Here we go. The unboxing process is about to commence. The unboxing process is officially underway. What items are encompassed inside this box? Let's find out. First off, we have Celtic Guardian, followed by the one and only Baphomet, as well as Root Kaiser. In conjunction with those figurines, we have Battle Ox, another Battle Ox, as well as Exodia. I procured a plethora of Yu-Gi-Oh figures via eBay. Do they warrant the premium price? Do they merit the premium price? Let's find out. I'm going to meticulously analyze them to determine whether or not they're marred with scuffs and scratches. I'm also going to assess their merits to see if they are just more than hunks of plastic. They embody Yu-Gi-Oh monsters. So off the get-go we have Baphomet. He can be fused with Chimera in order to form Gazelle, the king of mythical beasts. You can verify that for yourself. Hopefully those monikers were pronounced correctly. If not, you can look them up. He has 4 arms. They can be, his hands can be clenched together at your own discretion. He has this button in the back that you could trigger in order to prompt his arm action. He can fly if you have an imagination. This figurine has a robust design. I love his muscle tones, I love his shadings, I love his textures, I love his hues. My only gripes appertaining to this figurine is that he lacks finger joint articulation. He lacks an ankle pivot. He lacks articulation in the elbow joints. He lacks articulation in the knee joints. He cannot swivel at the waist. He lacks a diaphragm joint, so he's lacking in the facet of articulation. Other than that, though, if you're just going to display him, he's a high-quality, stellar figurine. I believe this figurine is known by the moniker Root Kaiser. He has spikes protruding out of his breastplate, or out of his shoulder pads. I guess there's no spikes protruding out of his breastplate. I made a blunder. But interestingly enough, he's wielding blades. He can smite his adversaries. He can rip them apart. He can dismantle them. Unlike the aforementioned figurine, he can actually swivel at the waist. I love his novelties. It's unfortunate he cannot articulate his legs. Baphomet actually possesses leg articulation in stark contrast to Root Kaiser. So I guess it's not the end of the world. But you do have some forearm movement. They could be placed outwards or inwards at your own discretion. I love this figurine's design. I love his sculpt. He looks menacing. He looks intimidating. He's just a remarkable figurine. The third Yu-Gi-Oh action figure that I would like to reveal, once again, is a illustrious, revered, legendary Celtic Guardian. There's also an obnoxious Celtic Guardian card. This is an embodiment of Celtic Guardian. He lacks articulation in the knee joints. He lacks articulation in the legs. He lacks elbow joints. He's meant to wield his sword. He's meant to brandish his sword. Unfortunately, I do not have his sword, so I'll have to desist from placing him into a dynamic pose with his armament. Nonetheless, he still has merit even without his innate default weapon. He still embodies Celtic Guardian. I love his armor. I love his facial expression. I love his biceps. They accentuate his physical prowess. He looks mighty. He looks audacious. He has the temerity to charge into the fray battle and safeguard his allies. Of course, we have the Battle Ox figurine. Seto Kaiba musters him onto the battlefield. His helmet is missing horns. Again, I love this figurine. Unfortunately, he lacks articulation in the diaphragm. He lacks a diaphragm joint. He lacks articulation in the ankles. He lacks ability to rotate his thighs or calves. His elbows lack a joint. It would have been nice if they were double jointed or at least had a single joint. I love his shoulder pads. They're relatively bulky. These figurines are relatively sturdy. The integrity of these figurines has not been compromised. They're still intact. They may have been churned out by Mattel amid the mists of the 1990s, so I believe they were produced in either 1996 or perhaps nearly a decade later in 2003. It's an enigma when they were released onto retail store shelves. Next we have a Battle Ox. And then Exodia. Now this Battle Ox is disparate from the other one. How? Well, unlike the other one, the spikes that adorn his helmet have not been severed. So that's the only salient difference that I can pinpoint. The spikes are also missing on this Battle Ox shoulder pads. So one is devoid of spikes, the other one has spikes. This one is just a bit worn out. This one is depreciated a bit. This one has more intrinsic value. This one would likely command a more hefty premium price. This one also has more sturdier joints. This one has a ratchet in his arm. The other one has a ratchet in his arm as well. But the ratchet is a bit more loose. It has loosened a bit, which is unfortunate. Am I in a dire predicament? Is this a calamity? Not really. I can cope with a situation that has befallen upon me. The circumstances are not that dire in this context. Now here's Exodia. He's missing one of his chains. I love his wristbands. I love the little rivets. He has a rubber skirt. Chains bind him to the ground. They impede his movements. His movements are encumbered by his chains. I'd also like to notify you that his voice commands have malfunctioned, so he can no longer output sounds from his microchip. So, despite the fact that he's now a mute, he's still a robust, stellar, extraordinary, high-quality figurine. Unfortunately, he lacks articulation and ample joints throughout his body. Fortunately, he's not too worn out. I'll likely purchase a 13-inch Exodia model kit. I think that figurine is more dynamic than this one. This one may be a bit sturdier, but the other one is just more mighty and massive and more bulky. Is this one feeble? Does he seem flimsy? Does he seem like a dainty Exodia that lacks physical prowess. No, he just doesn't seem as prodigious or as grandiose or as intimidating as I would have preferred him to be. I want my Exodia figurines to be massive. This one's a bit scrawny, in stark contrast to the deluxe model kit. So these are all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Figurines that came encompassed within the lot. I finally opened them. I procured them a month or two ago. His feet are a bit hollow. It's a shame that he's missing plastic fillings within his feet, but oh well. You can't win every bout, right? What else? Which one is my favorite figurine? To be blatantly honest with you, I think the Battle Ox is a quintessential figurine within the lot. He seems to be the least ravaged. The other ones are a bit scratched. They have some minor scuffs. It may be arduous to tell without scrutinizing them up close, but they're not in mint condition. Nonetheless, they're still in excellent condition. These are high quality figurines. Their armor pieces are now removable. Their weapons are missing, so they're not technically complete. If they were complete, I would be able to equip all their weapons to them, but even without their corresponding weapons, they're still amazing and stupendous and unbelievable. I just relish taking a gander at these figurines. They appease me in no facets. Like I said earlier, the only issue that I have associated with these figurines is that they lack finger joint articulation. They also lack ample points of articulation. They have a little bit of articulation, which is better than absolutely none, but they could always utilize more articulation. I'm not going to install ball joints into their bodies. I'll desist from customizing them. I'm content with these figurines. I have no qualms about this purchase and decision. For under $3 each, you really can't go wrong. Even if the Battle Ox figurine is missing some of its spikes. So that's pretty much everything I received for under $18. Not an abysmal purchase in my opinion, but not the best purchase in the multiverse. Could I have done better? Perhaps if I was more patient, perhaps if I deferred the purchase and decision, perhaps if I abstained from purchasing this particular lot, I could have obtained Yu-Gi-Oh! Figurines for a lower price, but I'm content with this lot. These figurines appeal to my niche interests. I love to revel in staring at Yu-Gi-Oh! Figurines. So the choice is yours whether you want to procure these figurines or whether you want to desist from buying Yu-Gi-Oh! Figurines. These figurines stand roughly 5 to 6 inches tall. The Exodia figurine is probably closer to 7 to 8 inches, so they coincide eminently well with a 6 to 7 inch prodigious action figure collection. I just would have preferred if their joints were a bit more sturdier, if they came with their weapons, if they had finger joint articulation, if they had toe articulation, if they could perform ankle pivots, if their elbows and knees were double jointed, if they had diaphragm joints, if they were slightly less scratched and scuffed. I don't like my figures to have dings, dents, scuffs, scratches, but it is what it is. There's nothing I can do to remedy the situation. I guess I could technically paint over any areas that are scuffed or scratched, but I'm not going to waste my precious time doing that when I can be doing more productive activities with my time. So that's everything I wanted to divulge and convey and notify you of. I hope that you found this video to be intriguing and insightful. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Goodbye.